one blank uh, live video is starting? Why, yes, I believe it is. I believe it is. I believe we're here. Hello, everyone. What today is? Aside from, Tuesday. Today is the 80th video. 80. Is that incredible? I'm blown away. This week. Oh, there she is. There she is. Is she gonna make noise? 80. Is that? There she is. I watch me fondly, because I'm aware. I'm all too aware that any minute now, something really interesting is going to happen. Oh dear. I was just saying before I looked at this script, well, good morning, Charles. Good morning, sunshine. How are you? How is everything? You guys okay? Is it still raining? I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's raining so much. The thing is, it's raining where you are, and that means you can't mow the lawn. I'm looking for the negative here. I'm looking for the negative in this conversation. But I do understand. You do have to get it tidied up. You do have to get it clean and beautiful. So, two things happened last week that are incredible, and they are aha-worthy, which is why we're doing this. All right, hang on a second. Very smart fella, a very good friend, who's clever and talented and dedicated, and just a teeny weeny bit OCD. And I accidentally said something smarter than I realized in the moment. And I thought, oh, look at that, later when I was thinking about things we discussed. And I thought, look at that. Look at that. The rain has stopped and I did cut the grass. Way to go, Charles. Way to go. And so here was the thing that happened. We were talking about a challenge that he has. And he's a dear friend. He's a lovely supporter. He has a busy life, and yet he always finds time to reach out and ask me if I'm okay and what am I doing, and checks the pictures from the latest event and so on, and takes some. And I accidentally said this. Ready? I said, you realize that we can't leave. We can't let something go until we've figured out why we stayed. Right? You can't say no more and this is why if you don't know why. And you can't go after something new if you're not clear on what was wrong with what you had, with same old. We have to get clear why we're going, where we're going. We have to go on purpose. And on purpose, in a way that makes any sense, is not, all right, that's it, slam. That doesn't actually finish the sentence. It doesn't clarify how we're feeling. And that means that if we don't figure out what was wrong, we're just going to do it again because we're good like that. And after our conversation, I went away and I thought about that. And I'm so grateful when these moments happen because they make me smarter. They make me see the things in my life, like this. they make me see the things in my life with more clarity, with more, oh, look, that goes there. Huh, how long has that been in the wrong place? That happens to me all the time. And I was, after this conversation with my lovely friend, I was thinking about a couple of things my dad used to say. And one of the things he used to say when I was being difficult, when I was being an unhelpful child, was I capable of being an unhelpful child? Yes, I was. He would say, you may be right. You may be absolutely correct. However, until you pay the rent, we do it my way. And every time he would do that, it was guaranteed it would send me up one side across the top and down the other. I would just lose it because it seemed wrong. It seemed if I was correct, if I was right, why weren't we doing it my way? If what he said was true, why not? And the answer was, I'm not in charge. It's not my boat. It's his boat. If I'm not in charge, then what he I don't get to choose the role I play. I'm assigned it. I'm assigned the role. He can say, would you prefer to have a window or an aisle seat? And I can pick which one. But ultimately, I'm going to be sitting and I'm going to be rowing if I'm in his boat and I'm a member of his tribe. That's the way it is. It's the way it is for all of us. Who am I serving? I'm serving the tribe. Who is in charge? He is. It's his tribe. That makes sense, right? It makes all the sense in the world. So when you're a difficult kid and you want something your way and you don't feel like having food for dessert, for dinner, you want dessert, it doesn't matter what you want. You're going to get this, then dessert. Why? Those are the rules of that tribe, laid down by the alpha. Perfectly normal. It's the way we survive. If everybody gets to do whatever they want, it's craziness. It's chaos. It's a restaurant at rush hour. And so I know all this. I remember it clearly, obviously. I'm telling you the story. I know all this. I lived it. I understood it. And then after my conversation last week, I said, oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? So here's the thing, and I think it's exciting, which is why I want to talk about it today. When we're very small, when we're born, we seek safety and comfort. We are imprinted by the people who are closest to us. The first person we touch is the person we gravitate to for warmth and safety and food, comfort, and all that stuff. And that is who we serve. That is the role we follow. That is the footsteps we follow. That is our guide. That is who we are. That is how we grow up to be imprinted by the ideas, the thoughts, the beliefs, the intentions of our tribe. That is how we can say people like us do things like this. And my role in the tribe is whatever was prescribed. And I am serving my tribe. In the cave brain, in our primitive cave brain, if you don't serve the tribe, the alpha will say, well, that'll be one less mouth to feed, kick you out. Good morning, Karen. How wonderful to see you. If we don't have anyone in charge, we don't know what we're doing. We're infants. It's hit or miss. So we need that guidance, and we need those rules, and we need the safety of knowing that there are boundaries and there are consequences when we don't follow the rules. Very important. They teach us how to survive. And when this happens, when we are punished, we learn, okay, that's not a good idea. We won't do that again. Thing is, we learn all these things when we're very young. Infants, barely able to move on our own. And they're embedded. They become the blueprint. We don't have to open the blueprint and check what we're supposed to do. It's there. And the cave brain just says, yeah, that's what we do. People like us do things like this. And it is what we always do, repeated over time. Simple, easy to follow and remember. It's great. And then we grow up. And we get bigger. We can walk and talk and fall downstairs all by ourselves. We can figure out how to tie our shoes-ish. And we then actually leave the house and go to school. We go out into a bigger world. We leave the tribe and the cave, and we venture out into the village. And when we go out into the village, there are all these other little groups, other tribes, who live in different caves and have the rules their way, because they follow their alpha. And when we all gather together, we get to discover the way we're the same and the way we're different. For the Vikings, they would get together once a year to discuss their disputes and settle them. And they would gather from all over the country. It was called the Thing. And everyone had a vote. Everyone had a vote. And the votes would go to the leaders, and the leaders would sit and talk and discuss and decide on the wisest move for all of us. Small tribes within a larger tribe, trying to figure out how to make this work, how to make this flotilla, this armada of boats, of ships, all sail in the same direction to reach the same goal. That's how it's always been. So here's the thing. Here's the thing that causes us all so much confusion and heartache. And it's a remarkable aha. It really is. I'm getting all these little lovely sound effects with my ahas. Here it is. The thing we learned when we were very young, the thing my dad taught me when I was very young, until you pay the rent, it's my rules. I never forgot. The thing is, while I never forgot it, I never really consciously remembered it. It was just there, way in the back. And it shaped everything I did. The person I was supposed to please was him, was the tribe. That was my job. Okay, so then what happened when I went to school? When the teacher said, we do it this way, I didn't stand up and say, that's not what my dad says. I might have. I might have. My dad might even have gone into the school to explain it to the teacher. My dad, the teacher. Me in the middle. And that's confusing. That's confusing when we see all these other signals. We see all these other messages. We see all these other priorities. We hear all these different voices saying, people like us do it like this. And how do we choose? How do we know which one to listen to? While we're in school, it's the principal. it's the teacher. As we're walking home from school, it's the bully or the cool kid. And then we get home. All these alphas in our lives. Who do we follow? And when? And who do we serve? And how? It's very confusing. And at the same time, when we're first in school, they're also teaching us stuff we didn't know before. So we have to remember all that. We have homework to do. We have to figure out how to find our house when we walk home. And we have to try and juggle all these new alphas and all these new messages and all these new tribes. How do we do that? It's a tough few years. And then we hit puberty and we have to do it again. Oh my God. And then we leave home. We're grown-ups and we have to do it again. And it never really occurs to us in a really important way that as we take on the new things we want to do and serve new tribes, it never really occurs to us to go back and look at that original lesson we learned and say, well, thank you. I've moved on now. I'm someone else. I'm someone new. I have my own tribe and my own rules because I'm paying the rent now. And I get to do it my way. We never do that. Not consciously. We never sit down and say, we may say, my parents always did this, and I'm not doing that in my first apartment. Okay, we may do that. But it's deeper and more important and more exciting. It's so exciting and a little scary to realize that the role we believed was ours isn't our role anymore. We don't have to do that. If we had someone in our lives who was a piece of work, and we walked on eggshells around them, we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to look after that. We did that job. We got a promotion. We moved on from that job. We have another job now. And we get to choose what we do it for. And we never, ever spend any time reflecting on that. We're busy. And since that initial message, that lesson, is buried so way deep in the back, we don't go back there and look stuff up. We got all this other stuff in the front that we still have to figure out how to put away and organize and prioritize. So this is what is really important and exciting and freeing. And I'm gonna make it more specific and more clear. I'm talking about it in a very general way, and I know you're probably sitting there thinking, what on earth is she going on about? So here's the thing. My story. I can tell my story. And you can relate. I had lovely parents. They were funny, they were beautiful, they were clever, they were talented, and completely hopeless as parents. Completely hopeless. They had no idea, not a clue. They were married for years before I came along. They had some kind of blood disorder thing that made it difficult for the actual pregnancy to happen. And they had no training. My dad's family were um, mm, challenged. My mother's family, challenged, very challenged in a different way. My parents grew up with no real clear blueprint on how to be parents. They grew up wanting to have their own lives and do it their way and find their path. They didn't really know how to raise anybody because nobody had really raised them either. So I grew up in a feral family, raised by wolves, confused wolves. I grew up being led by people who weren't sure what they were doing. And one day, I can remember it very clearly. I remember my dad saying, "We have to look after your mother." She had depression. She had trouble sleeping. She would be up half the night and then sleep in. My dad would get me up in the morning. Wakey, wakey. And get me organized for school. And by the time I was ready to go to school, my mother would be up. And so it was a topsy-turvy kind of upbringing. I truly believed it was my job to help my dad look after my mother. We have to look after your mother. That's who I was supposed to be, is the person who looks after somebody who can't really cope. So that meant that by default, I had to be able to cope. And if I didn't know how to cope, I had to tap dance. I had to fake it till I made it. I had no idea. There were no instructions. My dad had no idea. He just said, "We have to look after your mother." And so that's what I did. One day, my mother said this odd thing to me. We were we were on our way to my show. And I had invited her to be part of the studio audience, and she was all glammed up, and I was all glammed up. And my mother said, "I'm sure that it's a lot of fun doing this, but don't you think it would be a good idea to get a regular job, a day job, a regular job with a guarantee, with a pension, so that you could look after us?" And I said, I have a pension with this job. And I love this job. It's everything the best I can. And she said, "You can't always have the things you dream of." And I said, "Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can." And that was the first time. I was also a little annoyed, because I wasn't a little annoyed, I was a lot annoyed. That was the first time I'm on my way to do a show. And it was the first time someone in my life had tried their best to distract me, to not love the thing I loved, to give up and be something less than I am. And I said, "Nope. Not doing it. You can't make me." And so it was a bit of a tricky, tense first few moments. She said, "Well, you probably won't even have, we're late, so you probably won't even be able to find a place to park." And I said, "Mom, I have valet parking. I'm the star of the show." We pulled up, and sure enough, there they were, and escorting me out of the car, and escorting her out of the car, and telling her she was lovely, and parking the car for me. And she said, "Because I love it." So I've always thought, until I started doing the Pivotry book, that I had a path, and I was clear, and I was following my dream, because it's my tribe now, and I pay the rent, and I'm in charge. Except that, you know what? I have always responded, without realizing it, to the person who doesn't know and can't step up, who says, you have to look after us. I've always done that. And I came to understand that a few months ago. But when I was talking to my friend last week, and I realized that he does, apparently I still do it, because what he was saying about him was triggering me. While he was telling me how challenged he was, I felt it. Not on his behalf. I felt mine. And I knew it was there. I knew it had always been there. How is that possible? How is that possible that it could still be there? Because you can't leave. You can't walk away until you know. I'm sorry. This is important. I'm sorry I'm crying, and yet I'm not, because how well trained you were, how imprinted you were, how strongly you believe in who you were. If you stay there, you can't grow. You can't be if you're always carrying that with you. You need to know. It's very difficult to do it yourself. My friend is incredibly smart. He reached out because he needed to talk to me. He needed to wait, and I needed to wait, so that we could figure out what it was I needed to say about the reason he stayed, about the reason I stayed, about the reason we all stay. And I don't mean quit your job, leave your relationship, run away. I mean why we stay planted in the thought process we were born with. There is a It is so important. It is so cool. When somebody says, how's it going? And it's not going well, and we've thrown up our hands and walked to the door and slammed it behind us and said, there. Somebody says, how's it going? To say, yeah, well, we played there and closed. The show played there, and then we closed the doors. We brought the curtain down on the last performance and moved on. We played there and closed. Doesn't mean we failed. It means we walked away. Who we are raised to be gives us our blueprint. It teaches us a set of rules. We have the permission and the freedom and the power and the ability to change those rules, to make our own rules, to make our own path and live our own way. We all do. What stops us, what causes us to go back, is the unfinished business, the letting go, the saying thank you, the realizing that we can't be in two places at once. We can't serve that alpha and be an alpha. Here's the kicker. Here's the most amazing thing that hit me on the head and fell out of my mouth. Hang on. What is that? What is that? Is it okay? Is everything all right? Did something happen here? I seem to be having a technical glitch, and I'm not quite sure why. There it is. Okay. We're back. Here is a thing that is so important. Let's suggest that in this crisis we're having in this moment, as we're thinking about these people that we still follow without realizing it, those are the people we serve. It is easy to take that blueprint with us into the world and say to ourselves, the alpha is the person we serve. Okay, who is the alpha? Who is the alpha? If you work in a company, the boss is the alpha. What about the customer? Why are you here? Are you here to serve the boss, or are you here to serve the customer? If you're here to serve the customer, and the customer comes in to see you, who is the alpha? Do you say, "Hi, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Can I tell you a little bit about our boss?" No, you don't. You say, "Hi, how can I help?" There are only two people in the conversation, you and the customer. If the customer's upset about something and they want to see the manager, you say, "Well, perhaps there's something I can do." "Oh, I want to see the manager." Okay, then you're not part of that conversation. You go get the manager. They want to talk to somebody else, the alpha, that's fine. But if you're there to create a difference, to make a difference, to invest your talent and your skill, to change lives, you're the alpha. The people you're serving are the customers. The boss is the person who pays the check. So here's what was happening with my friend. My friend was having difficulty trying to fix an employee problem. And I said, "What if that won't ever change?" He said, "I don't know what I'm going to do." And I said, "Well, do you make the customers happy?" "I like to think so." "Are they unhappy with the bad service from the other employee?" "Not that I've noticed." "Okay. Then those aren't your customers. That isn't your audience. That isn't your tribe. If those people are happy, if those people are content with their status quo, and you can see more and do more and be more and give more, and they're not hungry for that, you're wasting your time. Why would you stay?" And the answer is because that's what he was taught. And I said, "Well, that's what you were taught then. This is now. You get to change the rules. You're the alpha. What was true then is not true now." And I said, there's no reason to feel bad. We do this when we're facing the wrong way. when we're still looking at that tribe and that experience and that story as who we are. It's not who we are, it's where we're from. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. How many times have I been back? None. How long did I live there? 3 months. What do I remember most? Nothing. What does it say on my birth certificate? Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Does that define me? Only on the birth certificate. Does it shape how I see the world? Nope. Does it give me pause, and do I have to check in with those values before I move forward? Nope. Why not? I was born there. We were there for 3 months. We never went back. How would I know what's going on there? How would I be influenced by any of that? It has no bearing on anything except as a starting point on the Abbey map. That's it. And that, I think, is what we need to look at, to see, to pay attention to. Vikings were navigators first. They built the most incredible ships that could sail in the most remarkably challenging waters. They invented what was arguably the first GPS, the sunstone. It allowed them to navigate when the sun wasn't shining, when the sky was overcast. They figured out how to get from here all the way over to where they wanted to be on their own terms. Why did they do that? Because in the age of the Vikings, Viking meant going to sea. During the age of the Vikings, there was a great and violent upheaval, and they had choices. Stay and follow the Alpha's rules and probably die, or say very quietly, check please, and get in the boat and row like mad and begin again. Why? Because we closed that show and moved on. Because life wasn't going to have any value to them if they wanted to consider themselves to be free. And so they left. They moved on. They knew why they were going. They knew why they couldn't stay. And they changed the world in so many incredible ways. They certainly changed mine. And so if we take any of those examples, any of those metaphors as a starting point, as a blueprint example, and we say, yeah, when I was small, we lived in an apartment. We had no lawn. We had no garage. We had shared common areas immediately outside our apartment. We didn't have our own home. And then when my parents grew older and were more successful and saved some money, we got a house. We had a backyard. My dad made a skating rink in the winter, killed the grass every year. Terrible lawn in the backyard. But I was skating every winter. I had to shovel snow. He hated shoveling snow. My dad said when I retire, I'm never shoveling snow again. That's how we ended up living up in Florida. We gave up Canada because my dad said, that's it. My dad said, check please, got in the boat. And said to me, you're coming with us. Why? Because he paid the rent. Every single thing that happened to me is an illustration of this. The one thing that I never saw, that I never paid attention to, was the way I automatically accepted the idea that my dream was not the priority. Doing the right thing to look after us was my job. So I became exceptionally good at compensating. I became exceptionally good at making sure the show is always great, no matter what. Because my audience isn't the boss. My audience is the public, is the person who buys the ticket, who puts on pants, leaves their house, sits on a hard chair facing the front. That's who I serve. That's my job. That's my role. That's the dream that I love. The one thing I never do during a show is give up my commitment to my audience to follow somebody else's rules. When I'm on stage, I'm the one paying the rent. I know who I serve. And I'm not going to do it any other way. But when I'm off the stage, I'm not clear. My direction isn't clear. Why? Because I haven't dealt with that story from long ago. It was the most astonishing thing. I'm in the middle of a conversation with someone else, and I realize he's talking about him, but I'm talking about me. And it's the same story. What are the odds that it's the same story for all of us? I'd say they're pretty good. Why do I think it's pretty good? Because the subconscious brain is how we all survive. The subconscious brain files away all that stuff and wants us to stay doing the same old, because the status quo is, according to that brain, what keeps us alive. That brain never, ever had to consider thrive. It's always focused on survive. Bare, basic, make it through each day. Safe. That's all it has to do. It's a big job. It's a huge job. It's the conscious brain that knows that there's more than one tribe. It's this part of the brain that says, what's over there? Let's check that out. What if? And that's what I wanted to talk about today on this video. I wanted to talk about this moment we all face unprepared. I mean, it triggered me this morning while I was explaining it to you. Because I clearly haven't finished dealing with it. I clearly have only just discovered that it's even there. Keen but slow. Yeah, slow and keen. So this is a thing that I want to say to you today. You don't have to figure this out by yourself. I've had such incredible help. Ironically, a lot of the help I've had has come from clients who hired me to help them say what they needed to say about the work that they do. And it turns out that the work that they do is the things that I needed to know to help me. Who saw that coming? I said to my friend, the people who need you are waiting. They're all there. They're all out there. The people who appreciate you are out there. They're right there. They're right there. The reason you can't see them is because you're facing the other way. you're following the blueprint that is stale dated. We all do. When you're ready to come to terms with the fact that you do what we all do and have been doing what we all do, you will be ready to say, I don't need to fix that. That's not my job anymore. It was my job. I was so good at it. And now I'm ready to move on. We can't leave until we know why we stayed. We need to do the homework. How do you do the homework? You talk to somebody who understands the equation. You think about the value that is gradually unfolding, gradually coming into focus with pivotry. Most of you who are watching when I go live like this are part of this entire process. Some of you I've interviewed. We hit a crossroads moment and say, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't need to do that anymore. They don't need me to do that anymore. I am free to move on and do it my way. Born, we don't arrive with a manual. I know, right? How annoying is that? Where's the manual? No one has a manual. Everyone is doing their best to try and figure it out without the manual, without the instructions. And we follow their steps until we're old enough, until we're big enough to take our own steps. The second thing that happens to us usually happens in our mid-childhood years. We get a signal, we get a sign, we discover something that we're pretty good at, something that people love about us, something that is so easy for us, we don't even take it seriously. I do that all the time, is what we say. I've talked about this before. It's really important. It's really important that I keep talking about it, because it's the key that unlocks our opportunity. It's huge. That thing we're good at, that's who we are. It might be a function of who we were. Doesn't matter. It's who we are. That is what we carry with us. That is what gives us the fuel to start the engines, to raise the sail, test the wind, and grow. I have this weird ability to distract people and to make them smile, to make them have the best time. I'm not sure how I do it. I just know that I do it. I know that it is what drives me. I don't know if I used that skill when I was very young as a way to cheer up, distract, look after us. I just know that when I head out into the world, when I talk to people, when I communicate, I have this thing that happens. Everyone walks around smiling. And I say it's a selfish thing that I do. Because what do I want to walk around in the middle of? A bunch of glumps or a bunch of smiles? I would much rather walk among the smiles. Much rather, any day. And that's what I do. That is the thing that I apply to everything. I'm looking for the visual, I'm looking for the word, I'm looking for the combination of actions stuck together that make people go, ooh, ah. Why? Because it's magical. This thing that happens that people don't realize. The reason they leave the house when they don't have to is they're looking for something cool. They're looking for something great to happen. They don't say, I might as well leave the house and hope that things fall on me from the sky. Nobody does that. They're going out to see if something amazing is going to happen. You know what they don't realize? They don't realize that they are part of the recipe for the amazing. They're not spectators. They are the ingredients. Put all the ingredients together, mix them up, add a few mysterious seasonings, some Abbey sauce, and shazam. We have something magical and fun and memorable. That's what I do. That's what I have always done from the time I left home and went to school. I have always been that person. And anytime someone has tried to stop me from doing that job, that function, I've said, no. I'm sorry. It's showtime. Where I've had the problem, why I'm triggered, why I was triggered earlier, is that I have not ever, until recently, begun to do the work to see what I was still carrying, what I was still believing, what I was still allowing to trespass on my personal boundaries. Personally, emotionally, in my heart space, in my mind, I don't owe my energies and my efforts to anyone anymore. I just didn't realize it. I hadn't done the homework to say, thank you. Thank you. Draw the little heart-shaped line in the sand and escort them to the other side. I hadn't done the work. I didn't know I hadn't done the work. How do I know I hadn't done the work? I'm still triggered. I'm still triggered when it's not about the show, it's about me. I still haven't become clear in my mind that I no longer have to sacrifice to serve, to look after us. Do you know how long ago that was? It's my whole lifetime ago is how long ago that was. And I have continued to do it because I didn't know it was there. Now I do. And now I can figure out what to do with it. I can figure out where to put it. I can figure out how to celebrate it and honor it and thank it and let it go. I can begin to learn to walk away from that because I know why I stayed. because I wanted to do the right thing. I wanted to be the best Abby I could. I wanted my tribe to say, we built a good one. I wanted that. It never occurred to me that wanting that was getting in the way. It never occurred to me that I could have both, that I could love and honor that from a distance. And when new people like that cross my path, I don't have to keep doing it. I don't have to do it for them. I don't have to relive what I used to do by doing it for new people who need to be looked after. It's not my job. I have a job. I have a job that it's magic. I have a job that I love. I have a job that when every time I do something crazy and foolish and wonderful, the smiles and the laughter and the delight and the surprise and the, oh my God, she's back. It's amazing. That's my job. I chose it. I practice it. I own it. I'm walking here because I do it. I'm on air. See, it says so right there. I'm on air because it's what I do. This is my 80th video, gearing up to say to the world, have the ability, we have the talent, we have the power to pivot. We have the right to say, that was then, this is now. And we are walking here, not there. We played there and closed. And we kept all the reviews, and they're fabulous. But it's time now for us to be everything that we've worked so hard to be. When we did FanaticCon on the 14th, I didn't quite expect the outcome that we achieved. I mean, I knew it was going to be pretty interesting. It's always interesting. I didn't expect the incredible fun, the magic, the foolishness. John Major, who was frantically running around all over the place, taking a million pictures in a million places at the same time, I have no idea how he does this, kept saying, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. The reason was because I walked into that place and said, alrighty then, it's showtime, boys and girls. Let's do this. And I gave people all the tools they needed to own the fun, to be the catalyst. Their smiles and their laughter and their, oh my gods, I can't believe this, and their goofing around and showing off for the camera, it's brilliant. I didn't have to direct them to do anything. I didn't have to say, okay, everybody line up. Now we're all going to have a good time. Nope. I had to, keep pace with them. Because that's what I do. That's my superpower. And I want to do that and have that ripple effect continue to impact lives. Because, well, why wouldn't I? What would I rather have, liver and lima beans? Oh yeah, there's an option. So the video today was a looking back, was a serious moment. Are there funny stories? Oh yes, of course there's a funny story. Somebody came to the booth at Fanaticon and said, "This is the busiest place in the room." And I said, "Imagine that." And somebody else came along and said, "Could you keep it down? We're trying to have a conversation." I didn't have a loudspeaker. I wasn't yelling. There was just so much laughter and fun and energy. And it just rolled out in waves. I didn't do that. I invited it. I gave it my total focus. In those moments for that day, I left everything else behind. I walked away from anything else so that I could be here now in that moment. I could own that moment. And if you saw the pictures, and there will be more, you can see it. I'm not making it up. And it doesn't have to be a close gathering of strangers. If health is an issue, if situations are difficult, if you're way over there and I'm way over here and you can't make it because, the car doesn't have enough gas or whatever, there are other events, and there are going to be other events that will not necessarily be live. They may be virtual. And you are invited. You have a front row seat. You are the reason we came. We can do this together, you and I, anytime, and have the most fun, anytime. All we have to do is put away our childhood blueprint and live in this moment. Own this moment. Be us now, here, today. And if you're not sure how, well, there's a book coming up. There are 7 books, actually. And the 7th one in the collection is going to show you the steps. And the reason I know the steps work is because I'm living them. And I'm talking to specialists. I'm talking to people smarter than me. And I'm saying, is this right? They're saying, yeah, it is. Okay then. And I'm asking other people, when did you turn the corner? Which wall did you hit? When was your aha? When did you realize that the story you were living was not the story meant for you? And they told me. And those are in books 2 through 6. It's going to be an awesome collection. It's coming together beautifully. So, on this 80th edition, as I wrap up today, I want to say 2 things. As always, I want to thank you for being here. I can't do this without you. Well, I can, but it looks ridiculous. I might as well be standing in the closet, talking to the coat hangers. I would very much like you to consider the things I'm saying, maybe in a different way. Think about the thing you're carrying. Think about the way you were taught to do and be and think about who you are and the role you have to play. Think about that. Write it down. And then give yourself time to write down the thing that makes you happy. The thing that you just love that's crazy. Even if you say, well, I couldn't do that for a living. It's not about the job itself. It's why it makes you shine and sparkle and feel amazing. Give yourself permission to look at those two definitions of you. They're both valid. They're both amazing. The point is, one of them no longer serves you. And it takes daily practice until it becomes a habit to choose the one that enables you. It takes work, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. You can tell, right? I mean, I'm a lousy actress, really. If I'm not happy, you can pretty much tell. Actually, I'm not a lousy actress. What I am is I'm a terrible poker player. This entire thing here, from here to here, that's called my tell. Useless in terms of keeping the secret. How does she really feel, I wonder? I want you to give yourself permission to see the thing that's been invisible. And don't beat yourself up. You didn't do anything wrong. If you're still doing it, you did everything right. The thing is, that show closed. You don't have to do it anymore. You were amazing. You got rave reviews. Now it's time to promote yourself. And do you as you are. Promise me you'll give that a try. Okay. I'll be back on Thursday. Remember, pleasing other people is the byproduct. It's the outcome. That you do, you brilliantly creates joy in others. You do not sacrifice you to try to please, to fit into the mold, to play the role for them. You do you. And the right audience will always be there. I guarantee. I mean, here I am, and here you are. You see what I'm saying? It really works. Okay, so I'll see you on Thursday at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, do some homework. Think about the things I've said today. We all have this work to do. We all have the opportunity to pivot. All of us. Guaranteed. Thanks for watching. Be good to you. Hug your loved ones. Bye. It doesn't want me to leave. Can you believe this? If I'm still here on Thursday, bring coffee.